Nothing happened to him. He didn't say, don't you mock me. Hours later, true to his word, only hours passed this time. News came by that they'd been involved in a fatal accident. Everyone had died. Even the people in the car had said nothing about God being in the trunk. They'd been taken out, collateral damage. Don't mock God, travel in any transport designed by God, send any smoke to God, mention God, or travel in the car with someone who's just said God is in the trunk. Don't do that. It's getting complicated now. The car could not be recognised what type of car it had been. Oh, I didn't write this, okay? I just want to make that clear. I'm just reading it. The car could not be recognised what type of car it had been. If you're going to send out an email like it's trying to convert people to religion, do make sure it reads like it's written by a 3-year-old child writing in a third language that they've never heard. The car could not be recognised what type of car it had been. Oh, so I was reading it wrong. That's better. It's the inflection. The car could not be recognised what type of car it had been. But surprisingly, the trunk was intact. No, wait, so that means God was in the trunk. The only way the trunk would be intact is God was in it. So the girl had stated a fact that God hates facts more than anything else. That his main enemy, maybe he thought they were playing hide and seek, going, oh, she got me straight away. How did she do it? That's the problem with being omnipresent. I'm useless at hiding. I'll kill her. He's a petulant child, God. He killed a teenager for saying he was in the trunk when he was in the trunk. The trunk was intact, remember that. The police said, this is what the police said about this incident. This is the police report. It's a true story. The police said there was no way the trunk could have remained intact. The police said that. That's what the police said. But remember, the trunk was intact. Do you remember that bit of the story? That's what makes it scary. It was the police said. They said there was no way the trunk could have remained intact. But do you remember? The trunk was intact. That's what the police said. That's what the police said. Comment on this incident was there was no way the trunk could be intact, but it was intact. They must have been going, well, write in the report, Sergeant, write this word for word. Write down me saying there is no way that trunk can be intact. I will do that, sir, if you want me to do that, but the problem I have with writing that in our official report, with us saying that, is I'm looking at the trunk now of the car. And the one thing I notice about it, really the remarkable thing about it, is that it is intact. That is the... I know it's intact, but there's no way it can be intact. That's what makes it a remarkable. So write that down. There's no way the trunk can have remained... I will write it in if you want me to. You're my superior officer, but my problem with writing that there's no way the trunk could have remained intact when the trunk is intact is that suggests to me that there must have been one way the trunk could have remained intact because it is intact. That is right. Don't write in the report. I tell right. There's no way the trunk could have remained intact. I will do it. So I'm just worried that what if this ends up going in an email that gets circulated around the world, and we say there's no way the trunk can remain intact, but it is intact. Everyone in the world's going to think the Brazilian police force are idiots. We're going to learn. Don't mock me. Write in the report. There is no way the trunk could have remained intact. Have you written that the car could not be recognised what type of car it had been? Is that in there in the report? I haven't put that in yet. Well, right there, the car could not be recognised what type of car it had been. It's in elegantly written. Put that word for word, what I've said. I've got a problem with... The one problem I have with writing these two things, the car could not be recognised what type of car it had been. I mean, aside from the grammatical issue, and the fact the trunk's intact, but there's no way the trunk could remain intact. My only problem with that is, isn't the trunk of the car the one place on a car where the name and logo of the car is clearly displayed? So if the trunk is intact, why don't we just go and look at the trunk and see what type of car it is? And that might be one way we could recognise what type of car. Might just be one. Don't put in the report. I happen to know with this type of car, whatever type of car it is, that if it's in an accident, there's no way the trunk can remain intact. So if that's intact, put it down, stop questioning me. To their surprise, you'd think they'd have been surprised by the fact the trunk was intact. When there was no way it could be intact, I mean, that would have surprised me. That would have been the main thing that surprised me mostly about this incident, was that the trunk was intact when there was no way it could be intact. It would have exhausted my surprise. My jaw would be on the floor with surprise at the breakdown of physics in front of me. Brazilian police weren't surprised by that. They expected that. That happens every week in Brazil. There's a car accident, there's no way the trunk can be intact, it's intact. That is no surprise to the brilliant Brazilian police force. They were expecting it. When the call came through, darling, I've got to go out, there's been a terrible accident. The car can't be recognised what type of car it's been. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction about this, if I'm right. I'm going to say the trunk will be intact in this. But that, furthermore, there is no way the trunk can be intact. That is right. And I will wager you 100 Brazilian units of currency, whatever that is, that is right. Well, I'll take that bet, because I would say if there's no way the trunk can be intact, that it won't be intact. So I feel quite safe. We'll see. If that happens, I get there, there's no way the trunk can be intact, but it is intact. I'm not going to be surprised. I'm going to be bored. To their surprise, this is what surprised them. Inside the trunk was God going, hello, it's me, I do exist all along. So I've been hiding all this time, I do exist. It's a bit of a weird time to come out and admit I am real, just after I've needlessly murdered all these teenagers and their bodies are lying all squashed up around here. But still, here I am, hello, can't forget about that, I'm sorry about them being dead. I am real, let's all celebrate. And that was not what happened. That would have been surprising. To their surprise, inside the trunk was a crate of eggs. I don't know why that surprised them, because Trev, when you're going out drink driving, what's the first thing you always put in the trunk of the car before you go? Crate of eggs, isn't it? Every single time, a large, not a punnet, a crate. Hundreds of eggs. Because you never know when you're going out drink driving when you'll need a massive quantity of eggs. So that is the first thing you pack. You might want to make a gigantic omelette of some kind, or a cake. Then you'll need a load of eggs, won't you? Do you think we should be drunk driving around with all these eggs in the trunk of the car? Shall we just leave the eggs at your house when we go out drink driving? No, it's all right, because I happen to know with this type of car, not many people know this, about that all the safety features of this car are put into the trunk. They surround the trunk. They don't mention any of the publicity, because it's not really a good selling point. Most people want the safety features in the passenger seats and stuff, but the thing is, I always travel around with a large quantity of eggs, more eggs than one person would ever realistically need. So that was a good selling point for me there, the fact that I wonder if I'm in a fatal accident as I'm dying, at least I'll know my eggs will be safe. That is... To their surprise, inside the trunk was a crate of eggs. None of the eggs was broken. That is a true story. A true story made up by a child. It's the eggs, yeah, it's not enough, is it? The trunk's intact. There's no way. We need another detail. I think what it means is God is an egg, doesn't it? I think that's what it means. He's a crate of eggs. I read back to this woman and say, it's brilliant. You managed to find 7 examples she's got there of people who haven't really mocked God but have still not remained immortal. I said to her, let's look at the 12 people who hung around with Jesus, his best friends, the 12 disciples. Of them, I think 10 of them were either stoned to death or crucified in a horrible manner at a young age. So it seems to me, if you like Jesus and his mate, you've got a 5 in 6 chance of dying. If you mock him, you've got about a 7 in 550 billion chance of dying. So I think I'd take that. Just maybe the best course of action is just not to mention him in case he thinks you're mocking him. It's very difficult to know. But what's interesting, before those emails arrived, the second half of the show is a little bit short, to be honest. It's probably about 15 to 20 minutes too short. People